Chapter 12. The NCR Building. My mind went into overdrive as I heard the tale unfold. A Dodge Charger? Who could it possibly be? My thoughts raced, contemplating all the possibilities. Could it be law enforcement? Was it some legal trouble catching up to me? Perhaps a forgotten credit card bill? But he assured me, no badges, just regular clothes, definitely not a police car. So, the question lingered. Who on earth was this unexpected visitor? Then, he dropped a bombshell. He had a suspicion, a name from my past, an ex I had dated for 2 years, a story I thought I'd shared with him already. It seemed we both had our histories, our past relationships laid bare. And now, here we were in February 2021, and he was suggesting that this visitor might just be that ex from years ago. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Had this person really shown up unannounced after all this time? It seemed absurd. But as he described the encounter, the casual way the visitor backed into our driveway, the ease with which he asked for me by name, it all seemed too real. Yet, as quickly as the visitor had arrived, he vanished, leaving behind a cloud of confusion and suspicion. And then came his accusation. He questioned my reaction, my agitation at the news. To him, it was all settled, nothing to worry about. But to me, it raised more questions than answers. His words lingered in the air, his doubts casting shadows over our supposed tranquility. But one thing was certain. I don't do surprises, especially not uninvited guests at my doorstep. When someone crosses that boundary, it's like they've stepped into sacred territory. It feels violating, like a breach that can't be ignored. So, it wasn't as easy as brushing it off with a, "I've handled it, let's move on." No, we couldn't just let it slide, because nobody has the right to show up at my doorstep uninvited. And before this escalates to something worthy of a new segment, I had to set things straight. That kind of intrusion is simply not okay. But my reaction didn't sit well with him. He thought it was suspicious, my concern over someone disrespecting our home. So I decided to delve into the details he hadn't thought about. He tells me again about the black Dodge Charger, how it pulled into our driveway, and a guy asked for me by name. I needed more. What did he look like? I asked, getting straight to the point. His description was as generic as they come. Shorter than him, brown skin. I pressed for more specifics. Did he have a hat on? Legion confirms he didn't. That ruled out one possibility, a maintenance guy who always sported a cap. So, mentally, I'm narrowing down the options. With only a handful of men who could fit the bill, it wasn't hard to piece together. Then came the question of physique, muscular or skinny. Frustration mounted as he struggled to give a clear answer. Was he light-skinned or dark-skinned? I persisted. He reiterated, brown skin. That left only one possibility, my ex from a couple of years back. But that didn't make sense to me. This ex wasn't the type to just show up out of the blue, and he definitely wouldn't be caught dead driving a Dodge Charger, a car he despised from his days as a patrol officer. It just didn't add up. I listened to his account in silence, feeling a knot of confusion tighten in my stomach. It all sounded so strange. What Legion didn't realize was that I had a security system in place at the time. Every time a door, the front, garage, or back, opened or closed, I'd receive a text notification. So as he narrated the encounter, I glanced at my phone and saw a notification. Front door opened at 1 p.m. Front door closed at 1 p.m. Whatever happened had occurred within a minute. According to his story, the guy got out of his car. Legion approached him, asked if he needed help, and the guy inquired about me. Legion said I wasn't home, and the guy left. Legion even claimed he watched him drive off, which seemed odd given our townhouse setup. It felt like it would take longer than a minute for all that to happen. Something didn't add up. What Legion didn't know was that our neighbor had a Ring doorbell camera covering both our driveways. I reached out to her, casually asking if she was home the previous day. She replied that she wasn't and asked if everything was okay. I then asked if her camera captured any activity around my house at a specific time. She checked, but found nothing unusual. It hit me like a ton of bricks. No one had come to the house. No black Charger, no visitor asking for me. It was all fabricated. Now, here I am, barely a month and a half into marriage, pondering why he'd concoct such a story. It didn't make sense. I sat in our bedroom, replaying the events in my mind, searching for answers that seemed to slip further away with each passing moment. Why would he lie about something like that? A thought suddenly struck me. It was like a whisper in the back of my mind, telling me he wanted to gauge my reaction. Yes, that's it. He wanted to see how I'd respond. I had been too composed, too unfazed by the Dodge Charger incident. So, he decided to gaslight me, like I was Georgia Natural Gas, just to provoke a reaction. Welcome, folks, to part 20 of Who the Heck Did I Marry? After the whole black Dodge Charger debacle, things went eerily quiet. Legion was his usual self, sleeping soundly through the nights. Me? That scene played on a loop in my mind, day after day. On one hand, I knew deep down that nobody had come to our house, but my heart kept nagging. What if it wasn't entirely made up? It was a relentless tug-of-war between my logical mind and my emotions. I just couldn't wrap my head around the idea that he might fabricate such a thing. Nonetheless, I tucked it away in the recesses of my mind, in my mental filing cabinet. A few weeks later, we decided to grab dinner at a burger joint in Atlanta. I'll try my best to remember the name of the place when I post this. Dinner went smoothly, nothing out of the ordinary. As we were leaving, he casually mentioned, "Did I ever show you where my grandmother is buried?" This was his grandmother, who had passed away from COVID in 2020. I shook my head, indicating that he hadn't. Intrigued, he suggested we go see her grave. So, off we went to the cemetery, not too far from the restaurant. He navigated through the winding paths until we reached a little hill. Pointing towards a headstone, he explained that his grandparents were buried there. The headstone bore only the family name, without any individual names or dates. It struck me as a communal resting place, likely holding multiple family members. He recounted how his grandmother, upon her passing, had expressed her wish to be laid to rest beside his grandfather. It all seemed so sincere, so genuine. But little did I know, this was just the beginning of a series of revelations that would shake me to my core. We're parked in the car, overlooking the headstone atop the hill. He explains that it's where his grandparents rest, fulfilling his grandmother's wish to be laid to rest beside his grandfather. As we leave, we opt for a different route home, taking a scenic drive along the highway. We hop onto I-75 North, a familiar route for any Atlantan. Driving aimlessly, we pass landmarks like the Varsity and the towering skyscrapers of downtown Atlanta. He points out the NCR building, mentioning that his company recently acquired it for office space. I'm puzzled. Why set up offices in downtown Atlanta, I wonder? He clarifies that it's for business operations, not production, which remains in Gwinnett County. Ah, that makes sense, I think. But then, he drops a bombshell. He keeps the company car there, too. I'm taken aback. Why not bring it home like everyone else? His explanation? It's a pricey car, and he's wary of trouble in Clayton County. So, he opts to leave it at the downtown office building, just behind the NCR building. I strain to see the building he's referring to, but it's there, he assures me. Suddenly, an idea strikes me. Why not visit his office? It's a Saturday after all, and he's been talking about peace and transparency, right? I hadn't visited before due to COVID restrictions, but now seems like the perfect opportunity. He agrees readily, and I'm intrigued. Maybe I can reenact the scene for you with the other phone I have. Let's see how this unfolds. We take the exit and head towards the NCR building. As he drives, he fishes out his phone from his left pocket, dialing Willie, the supposed head of security. He wants to check if the building's open before we arrive. So, with the phone in hand, he calls Willie while still driving. Meanwhile, I'm in the passenger seat, casually scrolling through Facebook, minding my own business. I overhear his side of the conversation as he talks to Willie. Hey, Willie, it's Legion. Is the building open now? I want to show my wife around and introduce her to my office. He listens for a moment before continuing. Oh, you're not there? And Justin called in sick? So, is there anyone who can open the front door for us? My badge might not work because of the weekend lock. After a few more exchanges, he hangs up, thanking Willie for the information. He turns to me, relaying the news that Willie isn't around, and Justin is out sick, which means the building is locked. His badge won't grant us access through the front door. He assures me he'll try to find someone else who can let us in. But alas, no one reaches out. As we exit the highway onto Spring Street, he explains that we'll be heading home without seeing the office. This is the moment he mentions keeping the company car.